Hey folks, how's it going? When I first started this project, I wasn't sure what all the materials I would be using were. So I decided to make an armature just in case to give it enough strength if it needed it. To create this armature, I bent a thick wire to form the spine and then taped on some thinner wire that would become the arms. At this point, when I had finished assembling that, I decided it would be good to do at least a little bit of planning. So I went back and realized that it would be good to do some of the wiring ahead of time, since that would be hidden within the model itself. I soldered 2 longer wires to an LED before securing it in a foam sphere that I'll be using for the head. I could then secure that to the armature before continuing to work on the body again. For the body, I thought it'd be easiest and quickest just to bulk everything out with some aluminum foil. So I went through some iterations of packing on the foil and then taping it down to be more secure until I had a shape that I was pretty happy with. I wanted the arms to be pretty spindly because I always thought that looked kind of creepy. So to avoid cultivating too much mass, I just added a little bit of tape. You may have noticed that the figure has some hands I didn't mention. I wasn't really happy with how they looked, so later on I decided to add some longer reaching fingers that I thought really gave it a creepier appearance. And with the shape of the body done, I began to cover everything that was visible. While most of the body would end up being covered in some cloth, the arms I wanted to give more of a natural look, so I covered it in some sealant without worrying too much about smoothing it down. The Flatwoods Monster has this large sort of leaf-shaped thing behind its head, which I made out of some EVA foam. After cutting it out, I could add a bit of texture before gluing it to the body. The only thing left then was to give the monster some clothes. I started with this old bag that I had lying around that I cut up into the appropriate sizes. I wanted the dress part to have some folds in it to give it more of an appearance of motion. So I took some wire and fed it through to create those folds. And with the dress now attached, I began to glue it into the appearance that I wanted. And since I really have no idea how to make a vest, I just cut the top into 2 different parts and glued them together like any professional tailor would. And then to tie everything together and to cover some gaps, I glued a large belt onto the monster. And just before finishing, I got a call from OSHA, so I had to add a bit of head protection before moving on to the base. To start the base, I took some XPS foam and cut a square out of it. I could then start digging into it, making sure to keep some of the scraps for later. At this point, when the hole was sufficiently deep and I was honestly just kinda tired of digging, I decided it was good enough. So I poured down some glue and added back some of those scraps I had saved earlier to help form sort of the mounds of the crater. Once the foundation was good enough, I mixed together some sculpt mold and covered everything with it to both help fill in the gaps a bit and to give everything an earthy appearance. I always find this part very satisfying. It really transforms things quickly, and I just get to mush things together with my hands. And then just to help seal everything a little bit better, I slathered on a mixture of paint and Mod Podge. And then it was time to do some painting. And at this point I'll be quiet here for a bit to help you enjoy watching everything come to life. At the last minute here, I decided to make a little meteor to go in the crater. So I ripped apart some styrofoam, leaving all those little bubbles there to give it sort of a spacey alien look. I then just covered everything in a paint Mod Podge mixture. And with everything complete and painted now, I could finally start assembling. I first glued down my meteorite right in the middle of the crater. I could then pass the wires through the hole I had made for the monster and secure it into place. To cover the hole that was holding the monster, I glued down some sand. I also used this to help to give the rest of the crater a bit more variety. The only thing left now was to give everything some power. So I took this old flickering tea candle I had and took the battery from that. After which, I got real lazy, and instead of soldering anything, I just taped the battery to the wires directly. And with that, I think we're done. The sun had already set on the small town of Flatwoods, West Virginia, on that fateful day of September 12, 1952. The brothers, Edward and Fred May, were walking home with their friend Tommy Heyer when they witnessed a bright object streak across the sky, crashing on a nearby farm. The children rushed home, full of excitement, to tell their mother of what they had just seen. Intrigued by their story, their mother, Kathleen May, gathered National Guardsman Eugene Lemon, and along with a couple other local children, all went to the Fisher farm to investigate. A pungent mist filled the air, nauseating the group as they climbed the nearby hill for a better view. Once clear to the top, the group was met with a pulsating red light in the distance. Eugene Lemon shined his flashlight towards the light, catching the first and only glimpses of what would eventually be called the Flatwoods Monster. A tall, man-like figure with a round red face surrounded by a pointed, hood-like shape. The creature had small, claw-like hands with clothing like folds on a green body. The creature turned their way, and after letting out a loud hiss, began to glide towards them, causing the group to scatter. Without looking back, the group ran to safety. The monster was never witnessed again.